Locating gaps on the trend chart can be a very effective way to find them. And I've got two examples here that are very similar in nature that are typical. And I'm going to show you how they can be put into a scan, or at least describe the rules that you might follow for a scan. You've got two vertical green lines here. We're in a symbol SRCL, and this is the right symbol is August of 2016. The first example has this video is these examples are similar to other examples that you may have seen with trend red and green up while the trend trio is down. And these are exactly the opposite. In this case, all five are down in both examples. And in both examples, the red and green, trend red and green, are under zero. And in both examples, the yellow line has been going down. Well, you can pick any one. You can pick any one of the three, but excuse me. The yellow line has been going down for 6, 7, 8 days in a row, each day, while like in this case, on the right here, trend green, or excuse me, power green is going up for many days. And these, I've got the candles shrunk down quite a bit, but there's a lot more to it than how it looks, but it just shows you the gaps. In fact, this gap right here was closed at 105.93, and it opened at 96 and went down to 82. So these are pretty significant gaps. The one on the left closed at 121.74, and this one closed at 95.56. So that's like $20-some on that one. Anyway, they're quite significant. So if you can find them, it's advantageous for you to do so. Similarities are, I'll point those out. Power green is down in both of these. Now keep in mind, one is under zero and one is above zero, so it's a little bit more difficult to write the code in a scanner indicator for finding these. But I'm going to give you about 6 or 7 items that should do a good job on this one, because this one is a little different than some of them. In both cases, the swing gray was on a previous peak and it's going down. And because this one is above zero, your zip yellow is high. This one is under zero, your zip yellow is low. So there's not an effective comparison there. Likewise, it's not, you're not able to effectively or easily write it in a code, but if you look to the left of each of these symbols, you see that, each of these vertical lines, green and red did not go above the high trio line, which is the blue line. Green and red did not go above the high trio line under zero, which is the yellow line. So, and that's not something you can put in a scan or very effectively. So how I would look at putting a scan together on this particular one would be, I would just say trend red is the lowest. You could say trend red is under green, but in both cases trend red is the lowest. And that might be the best way to write it, because there might be some others out there that have gaps like this that have red not lowest. But in either case, the first parameter for the code that I would put together would be trend red is the lowest. And also trend green is under blue. And that's the case with both of these here. I would also put down power green is down. You're going to be able to pick up both of the indicators doing that. And then trend red and green are both under 0. And then the fifth one is swing gray is down. Now, I usually say down, and I want to clarify it. It's down and above 0. In this case, the left one over here is just gone under 0. So what you could do is you could put swing gray 2 days ago was above 0. And that would still capture both of these in a scan. And then trend yellow, if you look back here, trend yellow has dropped every single day for I think about 8 days, or maybe I think I counted 8 days. Over here, trend yellow has dropped, same thing, 8 days. Might be 10 days, but I just used the number 5. You could use 6 or 7, but for 5 days, like for example, today, trend yellow is lower than yesterday, and yesterday is lower than 2 days ago. 2 days ago is lower than 3 days ago. And that's the way you'd write the code for a dropping yellow line each and every day. That restriction is really going to help in isolating the printouts that you get, because there's not going to be many indicators that are going to have that. Again, if they were both above 0, you'd write both above 0, but you can't do that in this case. They're just both down 5 days or 6 days or whatever. The last one is the last idea is not something you can necessarily put into a scan, but I just want you to visually see what you're looking at. And I'll make some adjustments here so that we can do that. If you look over in here, you've got, on the trend chart, you've got 3 fast lines, gray, green, and red, and then the 3 trio lines that are slower. And in this case, the red and green are under the yellow. In this case over here, the red and green are under the yellow as well. Now, you can see that we can't add gray to this because we have an example of it above right over here. The other thing, if you would notice, or if you haven't in the past, I'll point it out. For example, you have your groups, your short-term trend groups, swing red and green, green and power green and orange, and then your trend trio. And if you group the narrow lines in relation to the slow lines or wide lines, it becomes more visible. In this right example, and again, if you haven't heard me talk about it, on the zip chart, the yellow and the blue are your wide lines, and they move typically a little slower than the others. And the zip chart is obviously a jumpy looking chart. Things move all over the place because the indicators are super fast. But that being said, all your narrow lines are on the zip chart are under the zip yellow, zip blue. On the power chart, all of the lines are under your green and orange lines except for your yellow. So you've got cyan, white, pink, red, and blue, red, pink, blue, white, and cyan. I said that right. All under the green lines. There's two types of being under zero and under your short-term trend lines. And you don't want to necessarily say zero in this case because of differences in other things. So I'm addressing this under the narrow lines are under your short-term trend lines. The same is true down here in the swing chart. The three fast ones that you've got are pink, cyan, and yellow, and they're underneath your red and green lines. Over on the other side, same thing. Pink, yellow, and cyan are under your red and green lines. All on the power chart, all your lines are under your green and orange lines. And in the zip chart, all of your lines are under zero. In this case, they're not necessarily under yellow and blue, because we are under zero and yellow and blue are traveling down low under 20, indicating that it's a downtrend. Now, and that's why I brought up the idea that so many times your lines, it's just like so many times when your lines are under the 50 mark on the zip chart, then you are just in a given downtrend. When one day back of this green vertical line is a red peak, and the red peak, red is up to 64. So it only made it to 64 because of the market pressure in the market on that day, which indicates it's going down, and in fact it did go down the next day. So, and that was the green line. So there's different ways to look at gaps down and gaps up. I would like to point out also that there's not a lot of this one is more like a two pattern activity scenario, because you have some BOC lower patterns, but there's not a lot of them, and there's a TOC lower pattern also, but it's a TOC 2-day pattern. The right leg is down 2 days to the point of this green line on the right. So my point is that there are patterns. There's probably 1 and 2 patterns inside of this thing, but they're a little different than what we typically recognize, and so it's easier just to identify some key elements that you need to locate the symbol with. And so with those type of code requirements inside of an indicator that you could create, that would they would obviously pick up these as they might appear next time, and you can decide how you want to write your own code on these for finding gaps. But this is 2 of them that are basically not what I would say qualify in a typical 1 or 2 pattern count. There is 1 pattern there, but it's under 12, and so basically we don't count it, but we obviously have gaps. So remember, the greatest way that you're going to find gaps is they're going to be in 1 pattern, and there's going to be a lot of other indications to a down gap in this case. And so those are the two things that you almost always get gaps on. But one thing here that I didn't point out, right here in the right green line, you have zip yellow that is down 2 days in a low angle down. And in fact, that zip yellow is what I was talking about. It's a top of cycle pattern, but the right leg is 2 days and the left leg is 1 day. And it is a lower pattern, but that's obvious with 2 days down. Now, if you pull that pattern into the equation, in other words, when you have a TOC 2 days long, then yes, there's some issues that you can talk about that are in that realm of the 1 pattern or 2 pattern category. So I wanted to make you aware of that. I wanted to make you aware of these two, which are not as typical as some that we might see, but they're there, and just use this for reference to recognize that if you are searching for gaps, that you can build indicators along these lines to find additional gaps.